A beloved public figure, a brazen violent crime caught on video. The attempted murder of David Ortiz was guaranteed to be a huge story locally and nationally. But as the press dives into the who, what, when, and where, the why is turning out to be a bit more challenging. Adam Riley has more.
Ortiz in the deep right field.
As pro athletes go, David Ortiz is about as appealing as you can get. He helped the Red Sox win 3 World Series with incredible clutch hitting and provided a huge emotional lift after the 2013 marathon bombings.
This is our city.
Hence the outpouring of concern when Ortiz was shot and seriously injured in his native Dominican Republic.
At this point, his condition is stable.
6 people, including the alleged gunman, now in custody.
I'm just thankful that he's going to be okay.
But here's where things get tricky. The tacky Daily Mail and Dominican Diario Libre report that Ortiz was targeted due to a relationship outside his marriage. The Dominican news site Alerta RD says Ortiz bought the woman in question an $85,000 car the day before the shooting. Even the button-down Associated Press says a relationship may have prompted the attack. But publicly, authorities still aren't commenting on motive.
Police will not reveal why those men got together to allegedly try and kill David Ortiz.
Meanwhile, Ortiz's wife, Tiffany, is asking for privacy. And as details about that alleged relationship filter out, most mainstream media are holding back.
You, Bobby? Why you? And he said, I don't know.
But if the allegations hold up, we'll have to report them, even if we'd rather not.
Okay, and now the story is getting even more complicated. This video shows the purported gunman telling a reporter from his jail cell that Ortiz was not the intended target and that they were trying to kill another man at the bar that night. Of course, they didn't say the who, what, when, where, that, why of that. Can you imagine being a reporter in America and getting close to somebody being held in custody like that? All right, 2 things. First of all, no matter what the case was with David Ortiz, he is still going to be probably the most popular sports figure, one of in the history of the world. I mean, there's just no denying that. And secondly, I mean, it's really to the point where, the mainstream press, everybody, I mean, there isn't a person that I've talked to about this story that hasn't heard all the, I mean, you have to address it. I mean, let's address it, I swear if it was anybody other than David Ortiz, it would have been addressed in some form or other, because it's either true or it's not true, and it can't be that hard to determine.
Well, so far it's a little more than gossip, right?
I mean, there's the car that was bought. I mean, it's a little bit more than that.
Well,
there's 7 people in custody. There's the link back to the guy in jail in Pennsylvania.
But in terms of his alleged extracurricular activities, that's gossip. So, you're right. Someone somewhere is going to report it. They already are. I don't think reputable news organizations should touch that unless and until there's some substantiation to it. There's been gossip about David Ortiz that has surfaced in this city over the years, and no reputable news organizations reported it because there was no cause to. It was gossip. Now there's a valid news story and a valid news question. Why was he targeted for assassination, if that's in fact what happened? And so, sadly, for those of us who love him or love the David Ortiz we thought we knew, it's going to come out if there is something.
But as you said, those rumors are going around a long time before this.
And I do agree with you that there seems to be a double standard here. Had this been someone else, had it not been this revered, celebrity that a lot of, established news organizations would be more than willing to dip their toes into the whole gossip area of coverage. I will say this, though. It appears, based on at least one article that I read, that they had gotten a source from a police source that had given them information as to the why.
That was
and
the
so, right. So I think you have to consider that, and maybe you don't play it up in your story, but you have to include
That was the Associated Press who got that.
So you have to include that in your coverage. As much as you might like him and want to protect that image, if the story is there and you have more evidence than just gossip, that there is a law enforcement official telling you that, you have to report it.
Well, but just parenthetically, a law enforcement official telling somebody something anonymously, that can be gossip.
It can be, but we report it all the time.
We do.
No, maybe we shouldn't.
The Daily Mirror has been driving this story. The Daily Mail. They've been driving this. I thought it was the Mirror.
The Mail, I think.
Okay. They've been driving this story, and in one of the first stories was that 2 police officers carried out the shooting. Absolutely dead wrong. So, you have to take all of this with a grain of salt. What we do know is if David Ortiz was targeted, this new information suggests that maybe he wasn't. But if he was, it was an organized hit. When we find out the motive for sure, it's probably not going to look good. But beyond that, everything else, I agree with Jon, it's gossip.
Well, yes, all of that is true. And now we're at the point, though, that we're sort of dancing around the edge of gossip, because what I was hearing is that the reason that news reporters had not come forward with information, some of which allegedly was known for some time, is because of the power of the Red Sox organization. Not because
in the Boston Globe.
In Boston, and not because of Big Papi's reputation and a beloved thing, but more about let's not, shake the sleeping giant. We don't have to. Let's not make them mad. So I don't know what's true or not. I just thought it was odd that people, if true, people have affairs all the time and they don't get assassinated. That seems like an extreme response. Yeah. So I don't know what other levels are going on here, but I do think you're right, Jon. At this point, there's going to be much more attention brought to it, and
they do things a little differently in the Dominican, as you can see by the judicial system. They had the suspects in an open truck, threw them in the back of a truck, and they're in a jail where they can poke their heads through the bars and speak to the reporters.
Now you're referring to the legal system. I'm just going back to
the system in
general. You mess with somebody's wife and they assassinate you? But that seems extreme.
Yeah, but it seems like the allegations are that this isn't just anybody's wife. It has connected some drug lord. So that takes it up a notch.
Oh, maybe.